welcome back to another episode of Kinky Politics. We are your hosts, Kai and
Jordan.
And today's topic is Britney. It's the Britney saga. Boy, we're here to talk about it. And also here to say, oh no, sorry. I don't know what I'm talking about. Brain fart. Britney, Jordan, please start us off.
Well, it's been an interesting week with the news with Britney. I mean, it's hard to know where to start even because Britney Spears has been in a conservatorship, which means that all of her financial and major life decisions are being decided by people who are not her. So she is kind of like being a kid again, where it's like you don't get to make decisions, like you have to listen to what other people say. So, and she's been in this conservatorship for about 13 years now, ever since she had her meltdown, which when you like, from what the public saw, which was like her shaving her head and hitting people with paparazzi, we've all had that time when we want to like, I shaved my head last year on a whim, right?
Right.
And if people were following me around, I'd probably attack them too at some point to leave me the fuck alone. So there's that part that we saw, but there definitely is another part that we haven't seen of Britney and her mental health struggles. I'm positive because there's a lot of in the court documents that are released, there's redacted things and sealed things as well, having to do with her mental health. So it's like you got to look at all that. 13 years of conservatorship for some kind of mental health issue that she has. But this week, a lot has come out where even today, there's been developments where her longtime agent manager just resigned, and he hasn't spoken to her in, I think, 2 years.
Yes.
Ever since she ended her residency in Vegas in 2019. And she hasn't contacted him since or done anything. And
well, there was a restraining order that her mother had placed on him at one point.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Her court-appointed lawyer resigned today as well. Which she didn't know that she could fire him as well, because technically it's a voluntary conservatorship. She asked for it 13 years ago when she was at her like deepest, darkest moment. And she didn't even know until this year that she could petition to end it herself. And I think she kind of felt betrayed by the lawyer, which is one of the reasons why I think she asked him to resign, and so she could find someone that she trusts from the beginning. It's important to note that her father is part of the lead of the conservatorship, so I think he has some control over, I think, a little bit of the financials, maybe not complete, but like everything goes through him.
Yeah.
He's not resigned yet. So her lawyer has resigned, her agent manager has resigned. I think one half of the conservatorship has resigned, and the law firm that was in charge of her trust, like all her money and stuff, has also resigned. So it's like cleaning house this week is the kind of some of the main things that have happened. But what do you think about it? What do you make? Do you feel like and she was denied, I should also add, she was denied in her it wasn't, I don't know if it was an official petition, but she asked to be released from the conservatorship this week and was denied by the judge for a couple of reasons we can get into. But
that this was this week?
Yeah, so one of the things she asked the judge for was to release her, but she didn't file the paperwork for the petition, because when she files the petition, there has to be like people that come in and evaluate her and look at her life circumstances and all that stuff.
And she didn't want that.
And well, she didn't do it yet. So it's not even necessarily that she didn't want it, and she might not want it. You're right.
No, she said that. She literally said in her testimony, her witness testimony, that she did not want to be evaluated, and that she had the choice. She had heard of other people in conservatorships who were able to get out of them without having to be evaluated because of the mere fact, at least in her situation, She paid these people.
She did. The lawyer was paid $500,000 a year just from her to be her lawyer, and clearly didn't do anything for 13 years.
No.
And yeah, and that makes sense that it so that she didn't want to do the evaluation, and that's why it was denied, because the judge isn't going to just be like, yeah, you want to be free even though you've had mental health issues. Yeah, he's never going to, or she or he is never going to grant that.
There has been in the past conservatorships that have ended because the person said, I don't want it anymore. And they didn't have to be evaluated.
Interesting.
So she was aware of this. And so she used that in court and said, not in court, but in a, I don't know what.
In her testimony, sure.
Was it I don't think it was a testimony. I think it was just some sort of a, some kind of a visitation with the judge or I don't know what the hell it was last week, but whatever. I listened to the whole fucking 25 minutes of her talking about this. And, you know, and she's like, I'm so tired of being evaluated. I'm not crazy. I know I need therapy. Everyone needs therapy, and I understand now, but I can take care of myself. I've been paying people for, you know, I've been paying people for years to take care of me, and they're just taking advantage of me, right? So yeah, I you know, it's really hard for me to 100% understand all the finite details because we just don't know them. And so every time I think I've made a decision, I just change because, you know, you can see, I follow her on Instagram as of late. Sorry. You know, I mean, I've always liked her. I've always thought she was an amazing performer. But as of late, I've been following her and I've been seeing a lot of her posts, and you can see in the way she writes and what she chooses to write about and how she chooses to write about those things that something isn't
all there.
No.
Yeah.
And there's this sort of weird, innocent, childlike quality that she has.
Yes.
But here's the thing with that is it is very, very common with entertainers that they are like this. Mariah Carey's like this, where I've just been like, I don't even understand you on like an adult level. Like now that I'm an adult, like how old are you actually, you know?
Well, it's like they haven't had, some of them haven't had education beyond like high school. If they had that, because they probably did their high school like with a tutor, maybe. You know? So it's like they didn't get that formal education, like the minimum kind of formal education or college experience to like meet people and like
socialize
and critically think, you know? So no, I 100% know exactly what you mean, because the clips that I have seen of her recently, it's a childlike quality, like you said, that's 100% accurate and like on the nose, where it's like, you're an adult, you're a 39-year-old woman, but like, you don't have the average 39-year-old woman experience, like mentally.
No, you know? and you can really see that. And, you know, her, and as well as like, yeah, just sort of seeing and listening to her speak, I go, well, you know, she's been stuck in entertainment since she's been a little kid. Right. And usually those people who've been stuck in entertainment like that since they were kids, something's always wrong with them, where they've either been worked tirelessly like slaves that they end up just, you know, just acting out and being like totally different people, or, you know, being drugs or shit like that, or something is actually literally wrong with them as well, in that there are some things that have developed very slowly, like, and I'm not saying that people like Mariah Carey or people like Michael Jackson, you know, something's wrong with them somehow in there, but I do think that
it's almost like they didn't develop fully. It's not like there's something wrong, but it's like they weren't able to develop emotionally and maybe like
Yeah,
mentally to like
yeah.
the fullest extent that they could have. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
100%.
And so I'm not sure. So I go back and forth where I'm like, well, maybe it's just that whole, having been a performer for so many years, all her life, and that's all she's ever known, limited education, as you're saying, and limited social interaction. So she's going to be a little weird.
100%, because it's like these 13 years, like she did her residency for a couple of years and made bank, so she could retire. I mean, she did. She just today resigned, like said she's retired.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why the agent said that's why he's resigning, is he heard through not her directly, but like some people that she's done. Like if she can't have her life, she doesn't want to perform anymore.
Right.
And so it's like, I just feel like she has been in like a little bubble,
Yeah,
like,
13 years.
and
And
not been able, yeah.
you're right. And then prior to that, like being a child performer forever,
Mm.
And like I think about the other childhood sort of like person that comes to mind is like, or there's a couple of them, but like John, JT,
Hmm.
Christina Aguilera. But then I also think of on the flip side, like Drew Barrymore, where she
Hmm.
seems to be after everything, kind of I feel like she seems like she's recovered from a sort of trauma-ridden past.
100%. I mean, she did like cocaine when she was like 13 or 8 or something insane, like an age that's like, it's insane that you did that. And alcohol, like, yeah. But you're right. I mean, even Drew Barrymore, that's who we're talking about, Drew Barrymore. Yeah, she's in a good place now. Like she's been able to come to terms with some of those childhood performing traumas that she went through, and is now
Yeah,
able to
yeah,
pretty good person, it sounds like,
yeah. She seems like very level-headed, and has a disposition of like, I'm an adult.
Hmm.
Britney does not, for me, Britney doesn't appear that way. Um, and I would say the same thing about someone like Mariah Carey. I would say the same thing about Michael Jackson. They don't appear very adult for me,
No.
you know? And
And
so
they've had so many decisions made for them, I feel like, that like they haven't had to like make big decisions in life, like someone's like, oh yeah, we took care of your hotel. Like they've probably never booked their own hotel. You know what I mean? They like tell their assistant, do this, or and stuff beyond that, obviously. Also, it's like they don't have the same life that a normal person does, and it's hard to
that's
develop
it.
responsibility.
That's it. I was listening to her give her deposition. She was saying like, I just want my boyfriend to be able. I just want to be able to drive in my boyfriend's car without anyone saying that I don't. I can't. I want to be able to have a baby. I want to get this IUD out of me. And as you can see, this conservatorship is really messing with my life. And it's like I listen to that, and as much as that's like, wow, that's terrible, I'm
Hmm.
also like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, why would you say it like that? Why
Yeah.
why would you? But then I'm like, of course you would say it like that, because you probably don't know what it's like to be a real person, not a real person, but be a normal person.
Yeah.
And so you can't like, this whole thing of like, I want to be able to drive. Just hearing that, I was like, how old are you? Like,
She was also like saying things like the IUD thing, and her conservators were like, what are you
what?
talking about? Like that's not something we do. That's like a you thing. So like she was saying things that like that she was claiming they were doing that they can't do. What was the other thing that she said about them too? Oh, well, it's like the thing, she didn't know she could petition to end her own conservatorship. It's like, you'd think if you were upset about your
For
conservatorship
13 years.
for 13 years, you'd have done your own research. But then again, this is why she's not someone who has the capacity to do that. And I think the judge saw that, if he did meet with her in person, and there are all these redacted documents talking about her actual mental state, her mental health, it just makes sense that the judge was like, you're not ready for this. You're not ready for real life.
But then again, it's like, okay, she's not ready, fine, right? She's not ready for real life. She's not ready for normal things. But who can say that? She's paying these people. She's the one who decided to voluntarily say, yes, I need this. And now she's decided, I do not. She's had 2 children. She's paying she's paying all of these people. And she's been working. She's been working, you know? So even if the judge thinks she's not ready, or there's things that she's mentally not able to figure out, as long as she's not going to kill herself, and there aren't signs of that, as long as she's, you know, sort of you know, can integrate herself in society in the best way she can, considering she's a celebrity, then I think that should be okay. And I think they should remove this so that she can have the choice to say, you know what, I made a mistake. I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's interesting though, and I'm kind of taking this in a different direction.
Yeah.
You know why? Why?
The money.
Money. Because, I mean, think about it like this. How many homeless people are in California right now?
And we don't give a fuck.
We don't give a fuck about them. That's the truth. Nothing.
Nothing.
No one gives any fucks about them. And that's sad. And they have, like, I mean, you walk through the streets of LA and you'll see people that just need help, that need a conservatorship 1,000 times more than Britney Spears needs a conservatorship.
Right.
It's depressingly sad to witness some of these people, but no one gives a fuck because none of these homeless people have any money. And that's the only reason why, you know, Britney Spears, it's happening to her, is she has money. Because you're right, if she didn't have money and she was going through this, literally fucking everyone would be sprinting away from her. You know, I mean, that's the truth.
Yeah, because we don't have time, you know, like who has time to be talking about Britney Spears? But I think that the reason why it's so interesting is she's got so much money. She's got so much money. And it reminds me too of you know, I'm great. This is something personal, but I don't mind sharing because I don't give a fuck. Sometimes I just say this shit. I'm just like, why? But anyway, my cousin, who is super wealthy, she married a doctor in her family, but she's always been insane. She's always been insane, and I've known that all my life. Yeah. And she did some insane shit recently, like really insane. And I told my dad about it. I'm like, I don't know what to do. This is harassment. Like, this is harassment. She's so much older than me. She's basically, you know, 15 years older than me. Like, this is harassment, Dad. Like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, my dad said, oh, don't take it personally. You know that she's always had some issues. And I'm like, ooh, no. And I said, Dad, you know, remember when this happened to you with her and how she almost ruined your career? You didn't stand for that, right? You couldn't, right? But I think because it's not happening to you, one, and secondly, because she has a lot of money, no one in the family talks about how psychotic she is. No one talks about it.
And that is scary and sad.
It is so scary. But what's scarier is a rich person who's mentally disabled, who's mentally not okay. You don't know what they can do, you know? And maybe that's the other side of it as well, is what happens if she gets out of this conservatorship and something, I don't know.
Something happens, whether it's someone steals all her money or
she
takes advantage of her.
Kills something.
Totally. Yeah. And I think I like to have enough confidence in the judge and some of these people who aren't being paid by her. to actually look at like her life circumstances, whether she's fit to be able to do that or not. Because
I really don't think that they're looking at her this way. I think even the judge, because this is a high profile case. The longer they can drag this shit out, you know what I'm saying? It looks great for this judge. And the more uncomfortable and intricate and the more like, oh, she's got mental health issues type things, the better it is for his resume or her resume. I hate to say that, you know, that as human beings, we're intrinsically excited about power, but I think that we are. So I can't see, I mean, I agree with you. I would like to think the same of the judge, but it's a very high profile case and there's a lot of money at stake. It's not just like, you know, a couple million. It's like fucking, we're talking about Britney Spears, you know? So no, I do think that you're right, that money is a driving force to all of this. And it's so fucking sad. I also just want to point out too, the reactions of her family. I don't know, did you hear her father's testimony and her mother's lack of testimony or any kind of contribution to what has been said publicly, or her sisters?
So, I mean, I can give you a quick rundown of what I've heard, and you can tell me if so. Her sister, Jamie Lynn Spears, the actress, had to come out because she was getting attacked by online trolls. Like, don't you care about your sister, Free Britney? Yeah. And she was like, listen, I'm the only person in my family who's not on the payroll, like on the family payroll. Because I think it's her mom, her brother, and her dad who are on the family payroll.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I want Britney to be happy and I want her to live her life however she wants. Like, she's like, I just don't have any skin in this game. Like, she's not, Jamie Lynn Spears doesn't have any say about anything.
Yeah.
It's like, she can just give well wishes and that's it right now.
Yeah.
And she has her own kids and is like living her life, you know, her own separate life.
Yeah.
And then her father, you know, I know Britney does not like her father right now, and I know the public kind of thinks he's not that great, but it's like, I kind of get where he's coming from. And
what did he say? I can't remember.
I mean, what he said and what other experts have talked about is that he is in it because he's like, she's my daughter. And whatever mental health issue she's having, but I am the only person that's in this for my daughter. You know, I'm the only person that I can trust, because from what I read about the court, he's paid $16,000 a month, which isn't chump change.
No.
But it's also like, he could be like, I need $1 million a month or something. $16,000 a month, that's like $160,000. Okay. Almost $150,000 a year, right?
Yeah, but that's for 13 years for doing nothing, for controlling your daughter's assets.
I wouldn't necessarily agree that it's doing nothing, because you could say this: she has still had a career. Like, many times when performers get under the influence of someone bad, their career tanks. You know, they become washed out. They don't make any more hits, yada yada. But like, with this conservatorship over the past 13 years, she has arguably been able to maintain her career. That residency in Vegas was crazy money for her. Like, it was like,
but did you hear how fucking hard she worked? She had to work. She had no days off. She worked 6 days a week, 10 hours, 12 hours at a time.
Totally.
Like, but it was slavery. You know, she never had a break.
I would say this though, she still, even in the conservatorship, was able to end it if she wanted to, because she was about to go on a tour and decided not to. So it's like, she has some autonomy, because like, they can't force, like, they can't be like, get up and dance. You know what I mean? Like, if she just sat down, there's nothing they could do about that, right? So it's like on some level she wanted.
Yeah, but she talks about being drugged. She talks about, you know, being under the influence of things a lot of times where it's, you know, or being around people 24/7. And it's like,
you're right, but that's part of the conservatorship and her mental health. Like in her testimony too, she said she's had the same woman give her medication for her mental health every morning. So it's like, yeah, she's being drugged, but not like roofie drugged. She's being given the medication for her mental health, you know?
well, there was a medicine that in her deposition, there was a medicine that apparently, you know, she talks about for either anti-anxiety or anti-depression, where she talks about this episode where she got on it because she was tired. And she told her, you know, she was in a rehearsal and she told her people, you know, like, we're not going to do it like this. I'm going to take a break, or I'm going to do this. And her dancers ended up walking out for whatever reason. They were told, they were told to walk out. They walked out. Her dancers, the management company, and some other people went into a room and basically like left her alone. And then her management told the therapist that she was unwilling to do things, to perform and rehearse and things like that. And so the therapist said, I'm sorry, you know, we heard you were unwilling to do these things. Now we're going to have to up your medicine and do something else, which to this drug, which is like notorious for making people feel like a vegetable, basically.
Yeah.
Where you feel controlled. And so she listed this drug, and it is one of the drugs that she had been taking for a little bit. At the direction of her management company, who then told the therapist, and the therapist put this in his notes. So this was true, you know, that there seems to be, and the only reason why I feel also too conflicted as well is because my brother's under a conservatorship as well. My sister, is under a conservatorship right now. And it scares me because we've had many conversations with the government people, you know, who are in control of them. And the way they go about it is very secretive and very elusive. When I say things like, you know, I need to pick her up for something, they'll be like, okay, as if giving me permission, right? Okay, make sure you take her medication and things like that. And I'll be like, oh, you know, like, okay, all right, that's fine. But they say all the time to her, and my brother and my sister says it all the time, that like they'll always be like, you can leave whenever you want. You can, if you want to do this, you can do that. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to do that. She cannot, excuse me, I keep talking up. She cannot do these things. Anything that she wants to do that is outside of the house, she basically cannot do. And I don't know. And like I've spoken with, you know, some people who are a little bit higher up, where, you know, they've said to me, like, it's always her decision. It's always her decision. And then I would say, well, she has decided that this is what she wants to do. And she said, you know, then we'll go back and forth. Well, you know, she said we'll have to follow this up with her. And then they'll say they'll follow it up with her, and you know, all of a sudden my sister doesn't want to do it. Weird. You know, and or it's the type of thing where we have to have these meetings, and these meetings are always like in the future. And it's always in the best interest of me, you know, of my sister, of what she wants to do, rather than whenever we have these meetings, rather than what does she want to do, you know? And you can see how they've managed to find these loopholes and these ways to talk to families, so that and also like ways to manipulate people who are not you know, all their socially, emotionally, or mentally, to where they are stuck there because they think they can't get out. And the family also thinks something's wrong too. It's like, I wouldn't know all of this stuff if my sister didn't tell me, like, oh yeah, they did talk to me about it. And it's very scary. It's very scary the way conservatorships work, because once you're in the system, it's like very
hard to get out. God, that's like so many things. Like once you're in the system, it's hard. And
it's like you're deemed forever crazy, or you're deemed forever unfit. Even you're not. Like my sister voluntarily said, I want this. You know, and now she realizes she wants something different. And those options are not being allocated to her. It's always like more time. And I think it's part of that. Have you ever seen Cuckoo's Nest? It reminds me of, you know, the whole conservatorship reminds me of that. Where all these patients wanted to get out. And granted, you know, some of them should have been there, but there were some of them that I feel they're just a little bit different, you know? And how they choose to live their lives, none of my business, you know?
Totally.
So
it's tough. That's wild. I mean, because it's like, it seems like it's such, especially in Britney's situation, where like everyone right now is like, you know, is shirking their responsibility, and now everyone's resigning. So it's like, okay, she has to find a new half of the conservatorships, a new person for her trust, like all her money, a new manager if she ever decides to, you know, to work again, and then a new lawyer as well. It's like, who's in charge, you know, at this point?
Oh my God, you're right. And two other things, sorry, I forgot to mention this too. You're right, who is in charge at this point? But you just reminded me, just going back to Jamie Lynn Spears, when I watched her testimony of what she felt she needed to get out with her sister, the way she talked about Britney was like trying to protect someone who is crazy. And her matter of speech was like, if Britney wants to jump off a cliff, if she wants to ride horses to the end of her days, if she, whatever the fuck she wants to do, I support her as long as she's happy. And that was kind of the gist of her long thing. Like, I've always been my sister's #1 supporter of it. Britney attacked Jamie Lynn Spears as well, as having profited in this whole thing. So the fact that she didn't really, to me, respond to that either, said to me, yeah, Jamie Lynn Spears knows that something is probably wrong with her sister. Something is a bit of an issue. And because she is loyal, and, you know, that Southern thing, and also the family values, she's going to protect her sister. And she's acting like the big sister in this case, you know, where she's not attacking at all. And she's not, she's almost sort of protecting. The same thing I kind of felt with the response, and I only saw a Twitter response type of a thing. It was a Twitter or something, like a written thing that the father wrote, which was like, I'm really shocked to hear about these allegations of abuse, and I'm going to get them. We're going to investigate them now. That's what he fucking said.
Yeah, but again, like, I think there's a couple things to think about on him too. She didn't have a problem with him up until, like, I mean, she was distraught when he was sick in 2018. So her not liking him is a relatively new thing over these 13 years. And part of me wonders, is it the boyfriend? Who's like starting to like, do this, do that, you should do this, you should, you know, because like I mean, I'm just saying, like, to not question it for 13 years and have a problem right now, was it because you were doing okay? Like you were still performing, you were taking medication to manage some stuff? Like, I don't know if it's so clear cut. And again, like, I don't know if if Britney is in a mental place to make decisions by her own or by herself. And I don't know if this boyfriend, and he seems a little bit like sketchy.
And I hate that I said that because I don't know him from anywhere. And I don't know why I think that. Maybe because he's a personal trainer.
All personal trainers are sketchy.
Hey!
No, I know a lot of personal trainers that are great. I'm just kidding. But
no,
my best friends are yeah.
Well, I know all about that.
But I see him like in a lot of her stuff, and I'm like,
yeah. And the fact that she mentions it so much, like, I just want to have another baby, and I want to get married, and I want to drive in my boyfriend's car. You know, I'm like,
it sounds like he's gotten a hold of her and is trying to puppet her. I mean, I think that is a lot of what this could be about.
Yeah.
Because again, like, if there would be a paper trail if Jamie, her father, had done stuff that he shouldn't be doing, you know, over 13 years, there would have to be. There's no way there could not be a paper trail of financial stuff if he was like misusing stuff. And that's why, to me, like, I'm looking at everything, like all these facts and what people are saying and stuff, and I really just feel like the boyfriend is starting to get a hold of her and tell her these things. And I just, in my heart of hearts, I just don't think she's ready to have control of her life. And that hurts.
I know. And it's like, and I feel you, because I also agree. But on the flip side of that is, it's like, it is not my life, and it is not your life. And
if she was poor, no one would give a fuck, like we said earlier.
That's it.
Or whatever. I mean,
exactly.
No.
So no one can say we don't feel. You know what I mean? It's like we say that because we see that from this distant, you know, but like, we'll never know what it's like to be in her shoes. You know, we don't actually know the moving parts. We just read and watch these moving parts and think that this must be true. But I also think, you know, too, with her father, you know, I mean, I'm 35, and it took a long time for me to realize some of the things that were wrong in my relationships with my parents, particularly my dad, where I was like, wait a minute. And I've been like, everyone's known me to like fucking love my father, you know, and I love my father, you know, but I also realized there are many things that I basically, when I am with him or hear him or talk to him, I shrink or reduce myself to a child, and I'm in a cycle of, I don't know how to, it's like being in the vortex, you know, where it's not, my dad's not abusing me or anything like that, but it is a type of, you know, situation.
That's universal. It's universal. Like you come home here and like your parents take care of you.
You're a kid again.
And you're a kid again. Exactly. And it's like a phenomenon. It really is.
It is.
You know?
And if your father's abusive, or for example, like my ex-boyfriend, you know him, a narcissist, and if the father is a charming narcissist, that type of psychological hold is kind of unbelievable. You know, it's not even kind of, it's absolutely unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even, like, I'm not saying her parents were completely responsible for her career, but you don't get to the top without, like at the top of the top of the top without being a jerk. And Britney wasn't able to be a jerk as a kid. You know what I'm saying? And clearly she's not able to be a jerk, period. So someone was a jerk. Someone was a clever jerk at that.
Yeah. It's one of those things too, where it's like, it's hard to talk to as an adult. Like I'll be 34 in August, and it's like, it's still sometimes hard to have certain conversations with your parents, because you're like, can I say that? Like, and is it worth, like, do I want to get in this argument or something with them? Because I mean, I even, with my time here, it's like, there's sometimes I'm like, should we talk about that, or should I just let it go?
Yeah.
And most of the things I can talk, but there are some things you're like, So I don't know if from what I think I read, she hasn't spoken to her dad in like a year or two, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and I've seen she's been in Hawaii, so it's like, okay, so she's in a conservatorship. Like, exactly how much power do these people have? Because like, was she just able to up and go to Hawaii by herself, or did they have to sign a permission slip? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and even if she's not talking to him, she still has to submit, like, hey, I want to go to Hawaii, sign this. Like, I don't know those fine details, but it's like, she clearly has some kind of autonomy to go on these vacations, to not talk to her father. Because like, okay, if he's in charge of her conservatorship, but she hasn't spoken to him in like 2 years, and she has this boyfriend that she's with, like, it's like, does she have to talk to him anytime there's like a financial decision, or she's traveling, or like what control, do you know what I mean?
Like what are the details?
You know what the fine details are, exactly. And like, she says this thing about the IUD, the thing in her that's preventing her from having babies, and they're all like, that's not something we control.
Well, it's interesting. It is true. It's interesting. It's not something they can control, but the way she explained it was that they know she has an IUD in her. And they don't want it removed, because if she removes it, then there's a chance she could fall pregnant. And if she falls pregnant, she won't work. And she has something like 8 assistants or something like that. And she's got people who watch her change regular, you know what I mean? Like change her clothes and things like this, who are with her at all hours of the day, who go to private things with her, like to see the doctor. And additionally, management gets to tell, because they've got conservatorship, they get to tell the doctors what is going on, right? So if, and they can say anything, like she's gonna want to say, she wants to take out the IUD. It's not a good idea. There's some shit happening. You know what I'm saying? And so she was saying that they're preventing her from taking it out. Not necessarily like, obviously she can go in there and tell the doctor, like, I need you to take out this IUD. But much like my sister, even if she does say that, it has to go to be run past something like that. So we run past the other person, or whoever's, with the HIPAA law thing, whoever's a party of that, then they know about it. And then everybody with with whoever it is sort of makes this decision, and Britney is involved, and they talk about it. And then, I don't know, then the decision's made, So maybe she's manipulated. She's like, okay, maybe next week. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but it's also like, if she didn't even know that she could petition to get out of it, it's like, what does she know? You know what I mean? Like,
she's been living in a bubble. You're right.
She's living in a bubble. So to start to wrap this up, where do you think this is heading? Do you think that she will file an official petition to end her, since this bid did not work and the judge denied the dissolution of the conservatorship, the current one, and her father's not resigning? Do you think she, now that she knows she can petition after 13 years, do you think she'll file a petition?
Yeah.
Or do you think,
I don't know.
and do you think that will be denied, or do you think she'll file a petition and it'll get approved?
I think that if the media stuff goes away and she's out of the media for a while, and she doesn't like come back, like this whole retiring thing, I think is interesting. She doesn't come back into the picture. She's not an entertainer. I don't think she'll file. I think the whole excitement around Free Britney has given her confidence to say, I can do this. And look, my boyfriend supports me, and like we have the whole world, all like our fans and everything like that. So, but I think if she's out of it for a little bit, you know, maybe 6 months or something like that, I don't think she'll do it. I think it'll.
You don't think she'll file a petition to get out of the conservatorship? No.
I think if only there's like buzz around her generating, then yes. But otherwise, I don't think so. I think that I think she knows that there's incriminating things against her.
Yeah, like I agree that I don't think she's going to get out of conservatorship. I think she will file to get out of it, because I think that's why she was like, lawyer, need to resign so I can hire someone that I choose, because I think she wants to file a petition. I don't think it's going to get approved though. Yeah. I think that she's going to file it, and she's going to have to, if she wants to go through with it, she's going to have to do the evaluation and the therapy sessions to like evaluate her. And I think either one of two things: either one, she's going to get evaluated and they're going to be like, you're not competent or capable enough of taking care of yourself and being influenced by this boyfriend or whoever, or she's going to be like, I don't want to do the evaluation therapy. And they're going to be like, well, then that's an automatic no then if you don't do that. So I think either way, you're right. She's going to stay in the conservatorship, and
you know,
for some money, it might be the best thing for her.
Yeah, maybe. But another thing I just thought of is like, this is so difficult for her, for anyone, to look normal. You can never look normal again. You can never look normal. Forever, people are going to be thinking that you're crazy. And doing what she did, no matter if she was calm, no matter if she was shaky, and she was shaky, and as I mentioned, like she didn't sound coherent, like she just sounded like a child, you know? Even if she sounded like a fucking adult, I might still be like, well, it's been 13 years. Why now, first of all? And secondly, like, how are you going to be any, you know, like, it's so hard not to look crazy.
Yeah. And it's like, if she were to continue to work, it would be with her old hits. Because correct me if I'm wrong, she didn't write anything she sang. Those are things that people wrote for her to do, as very common, is very common. But then it's like, I mean, she hasn't worked in 3 years. Like she hasn't done anything in 3 years. And it's like, you can kind of see that she's starting to get to 40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't see a comeback. Like I don't know. I don't think she's capable of it. Like she's getting to an age and a point where and she might not want to, and that's totally fine. She's set for life with the million she has.
Yeah.
But she's not going to write a song. She's not going to write a hit. You know, that's never going to happen. So the only way she'd work is to do her hits in Vegas again, you know, or she gets to a point where someone feels comfortable and confident enough, like, oh, I wrote the song that you, Britney Spears, as a 40-year-old plus, can sing and make it good. And I just,
you know, she's not one of, you're right. And she's not one of those artists who can redefine themselves based on the era. And she was an era, you know, and she did well to be an adult from a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. But I think she was of a particular era, and I think that's too hard. Like I feel like the people who do that really well, or who have done that, it's like people like Miley Cyrus, which is shocking to me. Madonna. You know, it's very hard to do that because you have to reinvent yourself.
You have to be like really, really at the top of your game and smart and outgoing. And I mean, as a person, I wish nothing but happiness and health for her, but I just don't see it, you know?
Yeah. On that note, as sad as that was, because I love Britney, and I do think she should be free.
I think she should be.
Please.
She's capable. She should be. Yeah.
Please send us on.
Well, thanks for listening. I hope you all enjoyed our discussion. You should follow us, share us, and we will see you next week.
Yay! Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh my God, orange is not my new black.